Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fellowship of Spirit in Farmington, New Mexico's Zoom meeting and church service. We appreciate you coming to be with us today, and hope that you have a great time and that you learn something, you remember something, or maybe something just clicks that you've been thinking about. But today is going to be a really good talk by our own brother Fred Brown, and he's going to bring not only a message and information to us, but also going to play music for us. So he's double dipping today, and we love it. We think that it's a good thing. Probably going to be a little short on attendance today because the expo up in Durango is going on, and I know we have several members who are working or going up there. I talked to one lady who's going to be coming back to our Zoom church meeting, but she chose to go to the expo today. So we'll meet her again next week.
And Margaret's up there.
Margaret's up there. George is up there. We don't know who all else might be choosing to do that rather than in our church. So
yeah, Jenny's up there too.
Jenny's up there. Okay. We also we have the return of our sister Jerry Lord is back with us at home. Last week she was with us sort of, but she was in the hospital and she was still hurting. And today she's feeling much better. Hi, Jerry. Yeah. So do we have any announcements? Oh, we're supposed to be having a board meeting today after the regular meeting if we have a quorum. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 people right now. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we had announced it last week that we would have a board meeting this week. Okay. Anyway, so let's get started. Let's see, does anyone want to volunteer to do an opening prayer? Okay. Well, Father, Mother God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity to come together in love and communion with you and with each other. We ask that you would guide us in our thoughts and purify our hearts and minds that we might reflect that order and beauty which reigns before your throne. We thank you for the health being restored to our members who have been ill. And we ask that you would touch those that are afflicted with illness and bring them to their level of health as is your plan. We thank you and ask that you would be with us today during this time to help us to have a good service. Amen. Okay. There's Jim came with us. And Jim. Okay, so that's good. Hi, Jim. All right, so I think that Fred is itching to play, so let's just let him play. Go for it. Go for it, Fred.
Good morning. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? All right. Well, 2 songs, and I'm kind of deciding which one to play now. But I think
you need your volume a little bit more up.
Need some more volume.
A little more volume.
I can do.
Better.
Hang on. I heard that. All right, should be able to hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
right.
If all of us will mute, it will
right.
help him.
Well, I'll stand a little closer. So anyway, I have 2 songs that I was going to sing today. I was trying to decide which one to do first. but I figure I'll do a traditional one. We'll do that one first. It's a traditional country song based off of a gospel song written by Albert E. Brumley. Everybody knows it. Some glad morning when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life are gone, I'll fly away like a bird from prison bars I've flown. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial soul. I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land on God's greatest shore. I'll fly away. Well, I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. You know, that's one of my favorite songs, and how very appropriate. I had an uncle. He was my last uncle on my mother's side, and he took his last breath at 1:39 last Wednesday in Lubbock, Texas. And he had a good life, and he died peacefully, and he just flew away, and that was really good. Thank you, Fred. All right, Steve, are you ready with our spiritual reading?
Yeah, just getting my stage set up here. Okay, from the September Science of Mind for today's reading. It's called Chop Wood, Do Laundry. Starts with a quote by Myrtle Fillmore, one of our pioneers in New Thought. On the mountaintop, we received new illumination, inspiration, and insight into the providing law. Then we have a work to do away from the mountaintop, lifting our thoughts to the truth standard. We should carry the light, joy, peace, and strength we receive on the spiritual heights of consciousness into our everyday life. Again, that was Myrtle Fillmore. It is often said that ignorance is the only sin and enlightenment the only salvation. And in such degree as we cooperate with and entertain good in our thoughts and actions, the entire nature of the universe is for us and nothing is against us. That's from Ernest Holmes. Excuse me. Why do many of us think enlightenment means floating off in some ethereal realm in eternal bliss? We fantasize and fictionalize the concept in such a way that we make it an impossible goal to attain. Yet both quotes above remind us that enlightenment is about the work we do to be in active alignment with the good of God and to be of service to others in the nature of that good. Enlightenment is a conscious moment-by-moment awareness of life and truth. Breath by breath, we engage in the presence of the present. When washing dishes, we are present in the same way When washing dishes, are we present in the same way a neurosurgeon is present in the operating room? Most likely we are not. Another person's life is not potentially harmed if our minds wander while washing a coffee mug. What if we did periodically wash dishes, do laundry, and walk the dog with the same presence as the surgeon? What might potentially change if our minds were not racing from one checklist activity to the next 10 while we are still on the first? When we are present, we are less likely to dwell in the ignorance Holmes mentions. When we are present, we are more likely to realize meditation as a state of being can be entered while taking the trash out just as readily as when sitting to meditate. We do all of our spiritual practices, our mountaintop exercises, to transform lives, ours and those of others. The affirmation is, today I bring my mountaintop revelations into each interaction. I consciously choose good and share that good with the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Good, good. Thank you very, very much. It's good for us to be reminded to focus and be in the moment. That's the only place that conscious contact is possible. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Fred Brown, I don't have your bio. Everybody here knows you. Everybody here loves you. So just go for it with very little introduction. How's that?
That's fine with me. We can do that.
There you are. Go for it, guy.
Good morning, everybody. How are you on this fine day? Everybody good? Right on. Well, I'm going to get right to it. Yesterday marks 20 years. Obviously, it's September 11th. I think I'm not going to use the old trite saying of we all remember where we were, but I'm sure I remember waking up, turning on the TV and seeing something that I thought was coming out of some movie. As it unfolded slowly in the morning, well, I would say kind of quickly actually, but in less than an hour, what turned into a movie, an eerie reality, became a tragic, horrific event. I won't go over the details. We all know them very well. We've had 20 years now to look back on that day, and 20 years to figure out what happened, why it happened. I think as a country, we're still grappling to put our arms around maybe not what happened, but why it happened. There's new information being released on a daily basis that's being declassified on how it happened. I know for a fact that the American public's not going to be happy whatsoever about the details that come out. It'll be once again, one of those classic, I guess you'd say, governmental, societal blind spots that was right in front of our face the whole time. We didn't have the vision, nor did we have the will to see it. I think the last few talks I talked about was vision, the ability to see, the willingness to see, fear, how fear can be overcome by preparation, patience, and proper perspective. So today, what I wanted to talk about is something that I kind of try to live every day, and it changes my life, especially over the past 4 years, and that's the power of acceptance. The power of acceptance. Now, obviously, I'm preaching to the choir usually, so we're not going to go too deep into this stuff, but I wanted to come across couple of different things about acceptance, and one that kind of sticks out to me is what we commonly call the serenity prayer. Some people, when I grew up, my grandma and my aunt, when you'd walk in the front door for their house and you'd walk down the hallway, there was a phone kiosk built into the wall where the phone would sit. And right next to that phone and the little table thing, there was the serenity prayer, and it had I guess you'd say a title at the top of it that said the Catholic Prayer of Peace. And over the years, I've seen that prayer more than a few times, and sometimes I see it ascribed to Saint Francis de Assisi. The truth is, it's not from any saint. It actually comes from a theologian named Reinbold Niebuhr. He lived from 1892 to 1971, and in 1932, he wrote a paper about acceptance. And at the very end of this prayer was what we now call the serenity prayer. And just to go over it, I'm sure you can all say it with me. What does it say? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Say that again. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Now, what's very interesting is that that's actually the second iteration of this. The first one was he wrote in 1927, and it reads, Father, give us courage to change, to accept what cannot be helped, and the insight to know the one from the other. Father, give us courage to change, accept what cannot be helped, and the insight to know the one from the other. So, what does that mean nowadays, me and you, on this weekend? Power of acceptance. The power of acceptance. In my life, recently, I've been trying to deal with what we would call conflict to find peace. Now, one of our greatest, I think, New Thought practitioners and teachers that are still alive and gratefully with us today is Eckhart Tolle. In chapter 6 of one of his very, very famous books, he talks a lot about acceptance. To be specific, he takes it, of course, into the Buddhist concept of surrender. Now, what's the difference between acceptance, resignation, and surrender? That's what we really need the courage to understand nowadays, is not be resigned to what things are, right? That's not acceptance. That's not even courageous, is it? No, it's not. What it is to surrender to the reality of what is. The isness, as our man, Mr. Tolle says, the isness. And as he says in chapter 6, when you accept what is, you will find a deeper level. You will take yourself to a deeper level where your inner strength and your sense of self-worth are no longer dependent upon your ego and your mind that says this is good and this is bad. Once again, when you accept what is, you will find a path to a deeper level where your sense of inner strength, your sense of self-worth is no longer dependent upon your mind's judgment of good or bad. Now, how do we do this, right? How do you accept what is always, right? Well, just like Steve was talking about, it's about being present right now, present in the now. So we've all heard the sayings about, if you are always worried about the future and always regretful about the past, we leave ourselves crucified in the moment, right? So acceptance comes all down to what is happening in your life, what is happening in this world, and not having an attachment to it, surrendering to the reality. Now, what happened on September 11th was a tragedy. One of many that's happened in human history. What did we do in response as a nation? Did we accept what happened? Did we surrender to the fact that years of colonialism, jingoism, sticking our nose in other people's business, telling people how to live, telling them how to pray, we thought that that wasn't going to ever pay, we're never going to pay a price for it? That was rude, myopic, and hubris beyond imagine. But did we surrender to that reality and say, hey, this is our fault, we did this? No. What did we do? We geared up the fight machine. We geared up the battle machine. And we went and shed more blood. For 20 years. 20 years. Thank God it's over. And it wasn't going to be easy getting out. Didn't matter what president did it. It had to be done. But war begets one thing, more war. Violence begins one thing, more violence. We did not surrender to the reality of our own mistakes in this world. We decided to blame it on other people and go stomp a mud hole in their you know what, right? It took us a while. It took us about 11 years to find the man we thought was, or pretty much was, responsible for it. And in 2002, we put a bullet in his head and in a lot of members of his family. Did we leave Afghanistan then? No, we didn't. What did we do? We doubled down. We kept digging. We didn't surrender. We didn't give up. We kept the conflict, right? Keep fighting. Got to keep ourselves safe. Well, we didn't keep ourselves any safer. But if we would have surrendered to the fact of our own reality and would have went out there and tried to fix the things that we broke and heal the wounds that we caused, we would have had a much different outcome. Don't know what that outcome would have been. Don't even know what this world would look like, frankly. We can only guess what giving peace a chance. Acceptance, forgiveness, right? So that's what I thought about all day yesterday, was the casualties of war. The poor people that were in those buildings and the villagers in Afghanistan, and poor lady that went out to go give some water to her sheep, and a terrorist van happened to be driving by and a drone strike hit. We killed everybody, even her and her sheep. So acceptance, surrender. Try to find a deeper level where your self-worth, your inner strength isn't dependent upon a judgment of good or bad. Coming to the vaccine, the pandemic, I mean, there's so many judgments nowadays about it. The reality is it's something out there that can kill you and kill people that you love. If you will surrender to that reality and accept that reality, you will have power to move on. You won't be afraid anymore. But if you're constantly in battle about who's mandating this, who's saying this, and who's saying that, and who's doing this, and who's doing that, what about you? What are you doing? What are you doing for yourself? What is the model you're modeling for the people around you? Where's your acceptance? Where's your forgiveness? Where's your kindness? Where's your loving kindness? So that's what 9/11 means to me, is a chance to reflect on our personal responsibilities, chance to reflect on when a big tragedy comes your way, when there's something that you just can't deal with, just doesn't feel right. Is it time to fight? Is it time to dig a little deeper? See where that conflict comes from. Step back. Get in the presence, get in the now. There's a very, I guess you could say, some people call it a Zen teaching, but it's really a Shinto Buddhist practice. And the term is Ichigo Zamai. And Ichigo Zamai means basically putting yourself in full concentration on one single act. One thing at a time, being present at one thing at a time, giving everything your present moment. Now, does that mean that during the day, when you go and you meet with clients, or you're meeting with friends, or you're talking to something that you can be present in every moment? No, not necessarily. Does that mean that things are going to happen in your life where you're going to be unhappy? Or does it mean there's going to be moments in your life when you're going to have success? All those things are true. But when you're present in each and every moment, when you sit down and say, okay, I'm going to give my full attention to this right now. Well, you start disconnecting yourself from what your success, what your fear, what your failures are. They no longer will affect you. They won't take your peace anymore. It'll be like you're the great ocean and the ripples on the wave, because you accept, because you have surrendered to what is, to who you are, to what you are. So at any time in your life you feel conflict, and I went through it last night. I was sitting there during a break. I get to play at some really amazing places, and I get to play some really amazing people. But politics creeps up everywhere, especially in bars. So I'm just sitting there trying to mind my own business. But people talk loudly now. And I heard somebody talking about white supremacy. And I was like, really? Might be an interesting. So I got a little closer. I was like, what are they talking about? And then I heard them bring up this argument that is an argument that came from about 1896, 97 it's in the original founding charter of the Ku Klux Klan, believe it or not. And what it says is that the Civil War was not about slavery. It was about states' rights. And this guy just keeps going on and going on. It was about states' rights. Finally, I couldn't stop. You know, my dad's a history major. He's a history teacher. My stepfather has a degree in history. So I was raised up in history all my life, unfortunately. And I had to say to him, yeah, you know what, buddy? You're right. It is about states' rights. What it was about was states' rights to continue to have slaves. So, you're right. It was about states' rights. Their right to continue slavery. So once again, things don't always change in this world. There's still a battle to fight for what is right. And those are certain things that I find hard to accept. But I had to accept it, and I had to step away from the conversation and just lay it out there. And I said, buddy, you can have your right. You have a right to your own opinion about history, but you don't have a right to the facts. Okay, can't change the facts. Can't rewrite history just to fit your little world. Need to accept. Need to surrender to the reality and go forward. Which brings me to this. This was made by a man named Eddie Begay Jr., who's the alligator man. I don't really realize when he sold this to me, he should have sold it to me for thousands of dollars, which he didn't. But he did tell me if I ever tried to sell it, I had to sell it to a veteran. And I could not sell it to anybody else but a veteran. And preferably a veteran that was in combat. And I didn't really realize what it was until about 3 or 4 years ago. If you look carefully, you'll see 2 big V's. Right? Right here is a Mercury dime from 1941. Right here is a Mercury dime from 1945. These 2 V's stand for what Native Americans and Black people, African Americans that served in World War II, they had a creed among themselves, and they called it the double V. Victory over the Axis and victory over racism. Beat the Axis overseas and beat racism at home. That's what this stands for. The war is still going on. We still got to fight. So, anyway, be present every moment. Accept the now. Surrender. Hopefully you can find some peace. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste, Fred. Yeah, if anyone has ever, here, let me go. Yeah. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say to Fred or comment on? Just unmute and go ahead.
I would like to thank Fred very much for the insight of accepting our role in what happened. I don't necessarily feel that a lot of people are going to understand that, but we've been involved in other countries more than we ever needed to be. And I think it has downgraded our society to do this. But I do believe that acceptance, and I'm always reminded of that school in I don't remember, Ireland, Scotland, someplace where after the guy killed all those children, that the families of the children went to his parents with forgiveness and love in their heart. Because that's what it's all about. It's more about the forgiveness and the love of humanity than it is about being right or righteous or mighty but thanks for giving us a lot to think about, Fred. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Fred. That was really poignant. I don't think that is ever easy or especially popular to do what is absolutely the right thing. It's more popular to do what everybody's rooting for. And I'm afraid that we have not dodged any bullets or anything by our reaction to 9/11. And I'm afraid that it's going to revisit us again and again until enough of us have courage to finally stand up and accept any responsibility we have in any of our past colonialism, genocides, slavery, all of the things that the dominant society has participated in and made status quo. Thanks for reminding us of that, Fred.
You're welcome. It's our burden. It's our cross. If you're righteous.
It's our duty.
Amen.
Anybody else? Okay, Fred, you have our second song?
I do. You have something to say?
Somebody
yeah,
else?
if you don't mind, Fred, this is Wendy.
No.
I don't know if you can hear me very well. Can you hear me very well?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, I changed computer, so I'm just playing around with this for the first time. But thank you, Fred. I appreciated that. I think also it's us forgiving ourselves to let go of a fantasy too. Like with a broken marriage, like giving up the fact that, okay, I got to give up the fantasy that wasn't going to really work out. Just that forgiveness of being real with yourself and seeing life really is, any relationship or career, where you live, where you're at in life. It's just kind of forgiving yourself, like, okay, I got to give up that fantasy, or I got to really be in the present and see this is what's happening. So that's kind of what I wanted it.
Well, fear tells you the flight or the flight, right? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Something's bleeding over.
Fear tells you it's time to run. Is that me?
Who's talking besides Fred?
I think
Maybe
that's
it's
a
feedback.
feedback from somebody's mic.
It is.
Yeah, it's probably somebody's feedback. What I was going to say is that fear teaches us two things, and one is to fight or to flee. To get to the next level, we have to deprogram ourselves away from those emotions. And even in martial arts, they teach you to slow down the moment. And in practice, and it's because of practice, to be honest with you, you're able to see people's movements that are blindingly fast appear to you in slow motion. Time bends to your consciousness. Time is relative to your consciousness. That's why lots of times we can live with emotions and feelings of things that happened to us decades in the past, and they feel just like they happened yesterday, because time doesn't really exist. It's just an abstract concept. We're all in it right now, in the river. So yeah, when you feel that tug, that conflict in your consciousness of something that just isn't right, that's the time to go and look. Is this me? Is this real? Is it time for me to go? Right? Or is it time to me to go that way or this way? And sometimes we can't just leave, right? We can't leave our circumstance. We can't leave our body. We can't leave our illness. We can't leave our relationships. We can't leave our kids. Even though we'd like to sell them sometimes, I imagine. So, yeah, surrender, acceptance. Anybody else?
Yeah, Fred, my take on the acceptance. Who is that? Is that Jim? Jim, you're there. Try again. Can't hear you. You're really garbled, Jim. We can't, you sound whoa, 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 like that is what we're hearing. Sorry, maybe you can fix it next time. Anybody else? What I live by is that if I don't accept where I am is in the moment right now, it's like a navigator. If you don't know where you are, you have no chance of getting to where you want to be. So if I want to imagine, if my start point, which is right now, if I don't have a clear view of that, if I'm not accepting it in truth and honesty as where I am right now, I can't plot a course to some place I might want to be in the future. It's all going to be based on a false point, which puts me off on the end. That is, for me, is what is important about the right now, is that if I have any chance at a good future, I have to accept where I am right now so that I can go there. And that, I think that's real important. I think that was probably at one of the basis of your talks. And if we don't accept where we are right now, just like the 9/11 thing, if we didn't accept it, then our reaction to it is going to be off if we don't accept the reality of where we are right now. And that for me is the lesson. If we don't accept where we are, we might have still wanted to go and get somebody, but we needed to, you're right, we needed to accept that people reacted to us because we had caused action on them. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Who threw the first punch? It doesn't matter at the end of the day. If everybody keep punching, it don't matter. So, all right, sing us a song. You're muted.
Okay. Got to play the tuning song here for a second. All right, this song is a fairly recent song. It was written by a man named Chris Cornell. Chris is no longer with us. He's widely regarded in my field as probably one of the greatest modern rock and roll singers to have lived. Right up there with Jim Morrison. He was part of a group called Soundgarden. He was also part of a group called Audio Slave. He was from Seattle. Beautiful soul. This song that he wrote is called Be Yourself. So it kind of goes with everything we're doing here. Someone falls to pieces, sleeping all alone. Someone kills the pain, swimming in the silence, she slowly drifts away. Someone gets excited in a chapel yard and catches up okay. Another lays a dozen white roses on a grave. Yeah, but to be yourself is all that you can do. Yeah, to be yourself is all that you can do. Oh, someone finds salvation in everyone. Another only pain,
Someone by silence and inside themselves in pain. Someone says there's true love till the end of time. Another runs away, separate or united, healthy or insane. But to be yourself is all that you can do. Yeah, and to be yourself is all that you can do. Oh, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself is all that you can do. Yeah. Be yourself is all that you can do. Yeah, be yourself is all that you can do. Oh, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, be yourself is all that you can do.
Thank you,
Be
Fred.
yourself.
There we go. Well, we got another day of wonderful communion with each other. Got a message and have some things to think about over the next week or so, and that's good. Whether you agree with them or not, it's it gives you something to think about. I think our congregation are willing to look at things that are unpleasant so that we have the possibility of changing how we view them and how we react to them, rather than ignoring things and saying, whoa, I just don't want to think about that. I think as a congregation, we have the courage to look at things and say, whoa, well, we want to look at that and see what we can do to change our own hearts and our own mind so that we at least don't contribute to the problem. That is important for me. There's not much I can do. I'm way too old to go fight wars, and I'm not rich enough to cause them. But the thing that I can do, I can either contribute to the problem or I can contribute to the solution by the clarity of my mind and the resolve that I want to contribute love and peace rather than anything else. Sometimes the only way that you can make someone stop hitting you is to grab them and say, no more hitting. that happens. Okay. But we just have to think about, as a congregation, we advocate love and peace. That's the bottom line. And it's personal peace that spreads to national peace, to world peace. But it all begins with us. It begins with how I feel about me and about the people around me, how I treat myself and the people around me. And I think that's some of the stuff that I got out of Fred's talk today, was it is important that we do that we realize we are a point of light in a great spectrum of light. And without our perspective, the light is not complete. Not that we have a lot of influence over it, but that it's not complete without our light and our love and our consciousness. And we are an important part of God. Okay, we are an important part of the universe. How much in the grass? How much is a drop worth in the ocean? Well, there's not a lot of influence there, but without that drop, the ocean is not complete. And so you are important. And so I wish you all love and peace, and that we can remember these events that happened yesterday in the spirit of, we don't want it to happen again. And what can I do to resolve that it doesn't happen again? Maybe all I can do is pray, but praying is important. Okay. So anyway, everybody who talks on here, including me and everybody else, it's our personal opinion. The church doesn't have any official stances on anything. That's one of the reasons why I'm part of Fellowship of Spirit and not part of some other group, is that we all bring there is nothing official. We are able to worship God as we understand God. We're able to collectively and accept and respect each other's viewpoints. That's important, because until I accept your viewpoint as being exactly okay with it, and you don't have to be wrong for me to be right. I don't have to be wrong for you to be right. Until I do that, we can't have a relationship, because the anger and the fear and the guilt and all that stuff gets in the way. So hope that you will maybe consider that as you go along in the next week also. Okay. So will someone, is there any other notices or things that we need to talk about, Jerry? You're muted, hon.
No, Sue was very kind to cover the checking the mailbox and making the deposits while I was in the hospital, and I've got everything back under control. And so I'm checking the mail and making the deposits, and we're going to have a short business meeting, I guess.
Yeah, probably so.
A couple of things I need to ask about, but other than that, nothing serious.
I don't think there's anything, I don't know that there's enough of us to make a lot of decisions, but when do you think that we should, I think we just need to watch the numbers about the COVID thing. When should we go back into the church? I don't know yet. So if you have an opinion on that, get in touch with us. Let us know as the board. But we didn't this week. Next week, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be in Santa Fe. So and I'll be gone all this next week to Lubbock to my uncle's funeral. What do y'all think about that? What do you think, Jim, about when we should go back into the church in a face-to-face services? Oh, yeah, he can't talk. We'd love to hear him, but we just can't understand. So, okay. Anybody else?
I would like to see if we can't, work things to where we're back in the 1st of October, the first Sunday in October, and maybe try for the potluck again.
Well, that's something to shoot at. That's what, 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Almost 4 weeks. So yeah, that, I don't know. That may be a doable thing. I don't think we can do it before then. We don't, and we just need to look at the numbers when we start to get to there. How much danger there is in San Juan County. I mean, it doesn't matter what happens in Milwaukee or someplace. New York could be having all sorts of stuff. We need to look at where is COVID and the infection rate here. That's what we have to look at.
Jim, you could type a comment and we can all read it. You're doing that? All right.
For those of you that don't know, Jim is a virologist. He works for the state health department, and he is much more informed on this stuff than any of us are. That's why we lean so heavily on his advice.
Yeah, and informed wisdom, right?
That's right.
The only way
Yeah.
to go.
That's right. We don't want to have what somebody says. We want the official count. What the best, the experts are saying is the best, is the best course.
All I know is
that's, I don't know.
I don't know what the transmission rate in San Juan County is, but I know up in La Plata County, it's pretty low still, but it's really high among the unvaccinated and children right now. And that's really the problem, is school's in, and what's happening is the little kiddos are spreading the virus around and then they're spreading it back home. And even if you're vaccinated, this little bug has the ability to still populate inside your body and not make you sick, which we all know. And you could still pass it even though everybody's vaccinated. And I think that's the biggest risk right now is with, and it's not among, like, if all of us have our Pfizers and Modernas, I think we're safe. But if somebody's got an underlying condition, like a heart condition or something that's, you know, or they're taking some immunosuppressive drugs or something like that, you know, and I don't know, you know what I mean? They could possibly get a breakthrough infection and then end up on a, you know, end up in and out of the hospital on oxygen. And right.
But we made the decision quite a while ago to err on the side of caution. If there's a
Yeah.
possibility that any of our, you know, that by us gathering, it would endanger any one of our members, we're just not going to meet. We can meet on Zoom. We have an alternative. And although this is not the best way to do it, it is a good way, I think. And we have survived for over about a year and a half now on Zoom, and we can go another month or so, whatever it takes, to keep our members safe. That's our first thing. We don't want to get anybody sick. Everybody agree with that?
I agree. I would say, you know, September 20th is a milestone coming up this weekend. And I think the majority of all of us, because I'm, you know, I'm on that list too. I'm not as old as y'all are, but all my health problems, they put me on the top of the list to get a shot. So I imagine a lot of us are going to have our booster shots by first week of October, something like that. And that's definitely going to slow down any risk. I think it'll mitigate a lot of risk to anybody in our congregation. Right. And like you said, Colorado has the highest vaccination rate in the country, and they still have a problem. So everybody's going to have a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be an issue.
Well,
My thing is that at 25 people, this is a pretty big building for 25 people. And we got a lot of windows. We can crack some windows open and we can turn some air conditioning on and we can have some negative airflow out of here. Once again, it's just a matter of what everybody wants to do. I know being in person is, to me, a lot better feedback than this.
sure. Yeah, life is not safe nor guaranteed, but there are things that we can do to reduce the risk. And that's what we intend to do. We intend to reduce the risk for our people. And I think we're pretty fortunate in that we have a state that rates things by color, you know, in its severity of risk. And as long as it's red or yellow, until it gets to green, I don't think that we should meet. And it kind of takes the, you know, all of the ego out of it. It just says, well, you know, this is what they say. It's red, green, or, you know, and it makes it easier for me. So
I totally agree. I don't like Zoom at all, but I'd rather see your happy faces on here.
than to
I
go
don't
to your
like,
funeral.
I hate funerals. Oh my God, do I hate funerals?
I do way too many. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's, does anybody want to do the benediction prayer?
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Fred.
Mother, Father, God, we appreciate this time. We appreciate each other. We appreciate the moments that you give us. We appreciate the will that we have to continue. Please help us to share the love and the loving kindness that you've given us, the wisdom and the vision that you've given us. We may go out there and spread unity where there is division, peace where there is conflict, and love where there is pain. In everything that's good's name, I pray, we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the